What's up, guys? This is Brent with Western Equipment. Let's start out by talking a little bit about the model number on this XUV 865M. So the first thing that you're going to see, the XUV, that is going to stand for Crossover Utility Vehicle. Then the next digit in that is going to be the 8. Now within the Gator lineup, this is going to be the size indicator of the Gator. So you can have such things as an 8, a 6, or a 5. The 8 is just going to mean that this is a full-size Gator. Now the next two digits, the 65 here, is going to indicate that this is a diesel. You can also have such things as a 55 or a 35 or a 25. The 35 and 25 are both going to be gas models, and then the 55 and 65 are going to be diesels. And then lastly, you're going to have the trim level indicator, which on this model is going to be the M, which means that this is a mid-spec model Gator. You could also have, just like a lot of the other John Deere equipment, you could have such things as an E trim level, which is going to be the economy level unit or the most basic unit. Like we have here, the M level trim is going to be the mid-spec model, and then the R trim level is going to be the model that has the most features and the most loaded out unit in the lineup. Now, this specific Gator has come with some extra features that are orderable in the M trim level that may not be in the E trim level. So as we move up in that trim level, you get the more features you can add from the factory. So for instance, here we're going to have a windshield with wiper. We are going to have the roof from the factory, which can also be an option on the E model from the factory. We also have the front bumper, front protection package here. So that is a nice added feature that you can get from the factory in this M level. We're also going to have such things as additional light supports here on this front brush guard. So if you had that need for want to add front lights here, front driving lights, and then also up in the roof, we can see these cutouts here in the roof. Those are going to be for additional driving lights as well. You're also going to have a spot right down here in the frame, right below the grill, that's going to be a space to where we can add a winch on this machine. And then once we pull this bumper back, which we just have a couple of pull pins here that we just have to pull back on like so, then we can pull back on this front bumper and actually open up this front hood. So we have a rubber tab on each side, just like this. And then we can raise open our hood, and underneath the front hood here, we're going to find a couple of our service points on this machine. So for one, you are going to have a radiator. So right here underneath the front hood, we've got your radiator cap for if you need to add your coolant. You're also going to have a fuse panel right up here by the windshield, right up top, easy to access. You can simply just pop that top off and then pop it right back on. Now this is also going to give you access to the underside of the machine where we can add those different wiring harnesses to add other attachments. So like we talked about with the turn signals, you can add those other lights like we talked about in the brush guard, or maybe even a horn kit to this machine. All of these things are going to have an additional wiring harness to add them to this machine, but having this large opening here underneath the hood, you are able to get to those things by opening up the hood here. Now, also on the front of this machine, you are going to have independent suspension, meaning that each wheel is going to have its own give and suspension to it. You're also going to have the adjustable shocks on these machines. Now, the factory setting may not be what you want on this machine for the ride quality. So if you need to adjust that, it is going to have different levels of stiffness where you can adjust the shocks on this machine. And this actually will come with the tool to do this and show you how to do this in the operator manual. So right here is going to be what that tool looks like in your operator manual. So make sure if you get one of these machines that you get this tool. That way you can adjust that suspension to the ride quality that you like. Now also, the wheels that we're going to have on this M trim level machine are going to be the alloy wheels. You can also get the steel wheels, and then you're also going to have two different tire options as well. You're going to have what you see here, the Maxxis Bighorn tires, or you could also get the Predator extreme terrain tires as well. Now on the 865M, specifically more just talking about the M trim level model, one of the nice things whenever we move up into this trim level is that we can get a cab on this machine. Now on this machine here, we do have the front and rear glass from the factory, but we do not have a full enclosed cab because we do not have the doors. But once you move into that M trim level, you can get that fully enclosed cab from the factory. Now, whenever you do get these machines with the cab, it will have an HVAC system, so you will have heat and air. Obviously here with the open station machine, we do not have that. Now, another thing that is nice once we move up into that M trim level is that you are going to have power steering on the machine. So this is going to steer just like you would expect your car or truck to. Whenever you get in it, turn it on, start the machine up, you're going to have full range of motion with that steering wheel. You're not going to have to fight it like you would without the power steering on the E trim level. Now, whenever we have the open station model, one of the things that we're going to have is we are going to have the net doors here that fasten on either side. This is going to be our operator retention system, or much easily said, just the net doors. Now, the only other thing here on this side of the machine that you'll need to notice is where the fuel tank is located. It's going to be right behind the driver's seat here, right below your bed. It does have the green cap on it that's clearly stated diesel, so we don't make that mistake of putting gas in this machine. Now, this fuel tank is going to be an 11.2 gallon fuel tank, so you'll have plenty of fuel to make sure and do those things throughout the day that you need to do. Now, one other thing, while we're talking about fuel, one of the big questions is what are the upsides of having a diesel as compared to having a gas? Well, for one, if diesel is something that you already have on your property, having this diesel machine is something that'll be very easy and accessible for you to get fuel. If you're that farmer or rancher that does a lot of work with larger equipment or have vehicles that use diesel, having this is going to be a nice added feature to your lineup of equipment. Now, the other thing too is that with that diesel engine, like we would expect in pickup trucks or tractors and other things, is this machine is going to provide more torque. It's going to be able to handle those heavier loads a lot easier. So when we're talking about load capacity here at the rear, we're going to have 1,000 pounds of load capacity in the bed and also a towing capacity of 4,000 pounds. So with that diesel engine and that added torque, we're going to be able to move those heavier loads a lot easier with that diesel machine. But the one thing that we miss out on is we miss out on some of the top speeds. So the top speed on this machine is going to be 28 mile an hour in high gear. So if we're looking at speed, getting around places a lot quicker, this may not be the way to go. But as far as working hard with this machine, the 865M is definitely going to excel there. Now, to go along with that 1,000 pounds of working capacity, there are some other really nice features to the bed of this machine. For one, whenever we move up into the M trim level, you are going to get the spray-in bed liner here. So lots of protection for any of those heavy loads, those scratching loads. Maybe we're hauling metal or firewood, whatever those things are, you do have that nice protective cover here on the bed. Also, you're going to have the single hand pickup style tailgate here at the rear. Just one raise up of the hand, we can drop that tailgate down to be able to put those loads in. You can also very easily either remove this tailgate or remove the tailgate and the sides and turn this machine into a flatbed. But if we are using it as a regular style bed here and we have loads that we need to tie down, we're also going to have these rails along the sides here on either side. We're also going to have these tie down points down in the bed here. Then also some loops up in the framing here along the front side of this bed, all giving you places to tie down those loads that you have. Now, if you get into this machine and you start to put that 1,000 pounds of material into this bed and you start to see some squatting in these machines, keep in mind that you do have those adjustable shocks here at the rear, just like you saw in the front. So if you need a little bit more stiffness here at the rear to help to accommodate that extra weight, just remember you have the tool with your operator manual. You can adjust those shocks, tighten that up to make sure and smooth out that ride and keep this machine from squatting. Now, some other things that you'll see here on this model, and once again, these are ordered from the factory, is you're going to see this rear protection package that's going to consist of the side fender guards here along with the rear bumper. So that is going to be a nice feature that you can order from the factory or add on later by yourself if you don't get that on the initial order. Now, like we have in the front with that independent suspension, you're going to have that at the rear as well. Some utility vehicles are going to have a solid axle at the rear, but here on the John Deere 865M, you will have that independent rear suspension. So this is all going to add to that ride quality to make for a really smooth ride on this machine. And also here at the rear, you are going to have a 2-inch receiver here at the bottom, and you're going to have the 2 chain holders on each side of that receiver. So if you need to pull a trailer with this machine, you are set up to do that. All you need to do is have that 2-inch tow hitch to go into that machine, hook up your trailer, and you're ready to go. Now, engine location is obviously going to be at the rear of this machine since we did not see it there at the front. Now, you can get an automatic or rather an electric bed lift on these machines so they can run off of a switch in the cab. This machine here is going to have a manual bed. So right above our diesel cap, right here underneath the bed, there's going to be a little bit of a handle that we can pull on underneath. Then that bed will raise up, and it is going to be on a couple of gas shocks. Then right underneath here is where our diesel engine is going to be located. This is going to be a 22.8 horsepower diesel engine, 3-cylinder with glow plugs. So just like you would with your other diesel equipment, we're going to want to turn that key on, wait just a second for those glow plugs to warm up, and then go and start the engine. And if we move over here to the right hand side, some of the things that we're going to see is the orange cap right on top is going to be our engine fill. Then right over here towards the back of the engine is going to be our dipstick for the engine oil. We're also going to see a bunch of different electrical connectors here right along this main harness, and this is going to be for adding those additional attachments, whether they be lights or other things. We do have those attachments there. Then we're also going to have our air filter assembly right here sitting to the right of the engine, right here, easily accessible on the back side of the cab. And then the last thing over here on the passenger side is right here below our air filter. We're going to have this panel here that is going to pop out. This is where our battery is going to be located, along with our charging point and also the fill for our windshield washer fluid. Now, before I hop in the cab and go over the controls, first thing I'd point out is on this machine, all of the full-size Gators in the 865s or 835s are going to be 3-seater models. So you're going to have the split bench seat here with an adjustable driver's seat that will have that seat slide forward. So we have this little lever underneath that we can slide that seat either forward or backward in this machine. Then we're going to have the 2-passenger seat here to the side with the seatbelt in the middle to make sure that all 3 of your passengers can be riding safely in this machine. Now, as far as getting in, lots of foot room whenever we're getting up and into this machine. Very easy for you to get into, plenty of space for you and 2 other passengers to ride. Now, on this machine here, like we said, with the windshield and the back glass, the nice thing about the front windshield is that it is a pop out. So you have a handle here where you can raise this up. That's going to be on gas shocks to be able to let that windshield go all the way up. It's going to stay up if you're going down the road and need that up. And then once we need to put it back down, we can grab that out, shut that back down, have it closed to make sure and protect us from that. Now, any machine that's ordered from the factory with the windshield is going to come with the windshield wiper and also the fluid reservoir as well. So if you're needing to clean that windshield whenever you're going down the road, you are going to have that washer tank on the side and that wiper to make sure that you can do so. Now, as far as controls goes, over here on the left-hand side, the only switch that you're going to have from the factory is going to be your light switch right here. You are going to have some openings right here to add those additional switches if you want to add different things to this machine, such as the turn signals or the additional lights, or maybe even the bed lift in the back. You've got those openings here for those switches. Then we're going to have our steering wheel, of course, here in the middle. This is going to be an adjustable steering wheel, so you're going to have a little lever here at the bottom to be able to either raise or lower that steering wheel, just to make sure you're comfortable when driving this machine, or maybe if you're trying to fit those shorter operators or smaller operators, you do have that as a nice feature here. Then whenever we're moving over here to the right, we're going to have a set of 3 switches. We're going to have our 4-wheel drive engagement switch, our differential lock switch, and then also our windshield wiper switch. Now, the windshield wiper switch is going to be a 3-position switch, so we're going to have the off position, the on position for the wiper, and then whenever we hold down on that switch all the way forward, that's what's going to put out the fluid, a lot like what you'd have on your vehicle. Now, to the right of that is going to be your gear shift. This is going to have the park position, reverse, neutral, high, and low. So you do have the parking system right here at your gear shift. You do not have to set a parking brake to put this machine in park. Now, if a parking brake is something that you do need to add additionally, you can do that on these machines, but it is not something that's going to come factory. So if you need to add that, you need to make sure and let your salesperson know that you need to add that to the machine. Now, right here in the middle, we're going to have 3 of these storage containers here. Now, like I said, in these M models, we can get the cab option. So this is where all of your controls would be for your HVAC unit. This could also be, if you move all the way up into the Signature Series Gator, up into that R Series, you could see such things as even a touchscreen radio in these machines. So make sure and be looking for that video on the Signature series as well. Then once we move over to the right of that storage, we're going to have a bank of all of these pop outs here. Once again, these are going to be for all of your additional attachments, different switches for different things. You have that opening right here. Then right above, we are going to have a grab handle for all of your passengers. So we have that right in the middle on top. Also up on top, on the driver's side, we're going to have one cup holder over here and 3 additional cup holders over on the passenger side right above the glove box that is right here. Now, additionally in the cab, if we are needing to have that additional storage other than the glove box, you can raise your passenger seat right up here. You're going to have a large storage container here. The nice thing about this storage container is, for one, it's huge. Also, it's going to have a drain plug, as you can see right down there. This one actually has it out. A lot of people have used this for a beverage cooler. So if you're working on those hot days, want to fill this up with ice and water bottles, Gatorades, whatever those things are, you've got that right here on board. Very, very handy to have in those working conditions. Now, lastly, let's go over here a little bit about our instrument cluster here in the front, or our gauges here. So on our gauges, what we're going to have whenever we first turn the machine on is we are going to have our RPMs over to the left, our speedometer in the middle, our engine temperature indicator up at the top, and then our fuel gauge right here, very bright and lit up. You're also going to have your gear indicator right below your speedometer. So right there, you're seeing that it's in park. But if we put this machine into the other gears, you're going to see that go from park to neutral to high to low. Then also over here on the left, down at the bottom, this is going to be our indicator for whenever our machine is in 4-wheel drive. So if we hit that 4-wheel drive switch, we'll see those top tires start to light up there. That means that 4-wheel drive is engaged. We turn on our differential lock. Now you're going to see a lock in between those rear 2 tires. And then once we turn those off, you'll see those both go back to normal, how they were before. Now you're also going to have right down here your odometer. Now this odometer can be changed with the little I button right next to it, the information button. So we can change that odometer to trip, also to machine hours, and then back to odometer. And then lastly, right above that is going to be your brightness selector for this instrument cluster. So you can go in and change that by hitting that button all the way up to 100%, back down to 20, 40, 60, and 80. So wherever you need that to make sure to see best, right there you can adjust that with the touch of a button. Now let's talk a little bit about specs on this machine. This is going to be important whenever we're talking about storing this machine or getting it in and out of those different areas where we need to go. So as far as length, we're going to be 127 inches long from the front to the back. We're going to be about 78 to 80 inches tall, depending on if you have the roof or not. Then we're also going to be about 64 inches wide at the widest point. Now, whenever we're talking about the cargo box here at the bed, we're looking at 52 inches wide by 45 inches long and 12 inches deep. So plenty of space back there to be able to handle those cargo loads that we talked about before. Now I'll go ahead and hop in the machine, turn this on, let you hear how this sounds. Also keep in mind that since this is a diesel machine, it is a little bit heavier. So you're looking at about 1,932 pounds. So go ahead and start the machine up. So pretty quiet for a diesel machine. It has been a little bit colder here in these months, so you know, a little bit of a cold start on this machine. You can definitely expect that on these. Once we go ahead and we'll put this thing in neutral here and rev it up a little bit. For a diesel overall, not too bad, pretty quiet. Very easy to shift gears, really nice machine. This is going to be a great machine for that farmer or rancher, like I talked about before, that has diesel here on the farm or on the operation that we're working at. Also, it's going to be a great machine for moving those heavy loads, doing that heavy type of work. Somebody that's not necessarily looking for all the speed, but a lot of the niceties that come in these John Deere 865Ms. Now, whenever we're talking about price-wise, whenever you're looking at the list price on one of these machines, you're going to see around the $21,500 mark. But don't let that sticker value shock you. This is just like anything else. You want to make sure and go in and talk to your local dealership, see what kind of discounts might be out there, any type of incentives that you may qualify for. There are going to be discount programs for different types of things, so make sure to always ask about those and see what type of best price you can get on these machines. And also keep in mind there is going to be finance that's available on these, and you are going to come standard with a 1-year 1,000-hour warranty, but you do have the option of buying an additional amount of warranty on this machine whenever you go in to purchase it. So overall, guys, that is it. That's the 865M. I hope this video helped you out. I hope that you liked this video. If you did, we just ask you to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Also, guys, if you're needing any John Deere parts at all, make sure to go check us out at 247parts.com. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Yeah. Hey, guys, make sure to check out this cool video and this one. Buy your parts right up here and subscribe right here.